Okay, welcome back to Mr. Rosenbaum's classroom. I'm Mr. R, your math teacher. Probably, or not. Either way, let's learn some math. Today we'll be reviewing everything you need to know before you can solve a polynomial or a quadratic equation. This will be a review for everything you need to know for polynomials. Let's review what is x. In these problems, we will be treating x like any other number. We won't be solving for x like a traditional algebra problem. We are going to be treating x like it's just another number. X is a symbol, just like every other number is basically a symbol. Think about what is the number 3. It is something that you write down that everyone just decided meant this many or this many. When you see the symbol for the number 3, you think 3 and recognize 3 of anything as being the same as just writing down the number 3. In the same way, x represents an unknown number, or it could represent anything depending on the problem. In the case of polynomials, x generally does not represent anything concrete like apples or bananas or whatever. However, we treat x like every other number without actually solving for what x is. Remember, the number 3 represents 3 of anything, and you write down 3 without a second thought about what it's 3 of, really. In the same way, we will be treating x like it's just another number that you can add, multiply, divide, whatever. The key to polynomials is moving x's and numbers into the right place. But first, let's review the rules of algebra when it comes to moving around numbers. Okay, let's take a look at the following equation. 3x plus 2 equals 8. Let's start off by using the law of mathematical equality. What is in the middle of so many math questions you see? An equal sign. What does equal mean? Equal means the same, or it's basically balanced. Okay, so imagine like an old-timey scale. Our equation has an equal sign, meaning it's balanced. Each side of the scale is the same weight or the same amount as the other side. We put each part of our equation on a different side of the scale, and each part will have essentially the same weight. Our goal is to find the weight of a single x, or the more traditional question of solve for x, basically. Let's start. We want to get everything with an x on one side and all the other numbers on the other side. So we want to get rid of the plus 2, but we want to keep our scale balanced. So if we want to get rid of the plus 2, we need to do the opposite, subtract 2. But to keep the scale balanced, we need to subtract 2 from both sides. If we remove 2 from both sides, their scale will remain balanced. After some subtraction, our equation is now 3x equals 6. But this is very important. What is 3x? Well, 3x is 3 groups of x, or 3 times x. Whenever a number and an x are next to each other, it's always implied that they are multiplied together. But in our problem, we want to find the weight of a single x. So the problem tells us that the weight of 3 of these x's is 6. But what's the weight of a single x? Well, to get the answer, we would just take 6 divided by 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Our answer is 2. For polynomials, this will be similar but different. We will start with the same equation, but we will move around the numbers slightly differently. In polynomials, it is not uncommon that you need to find the zeros of the equation. But what does that mean? If we take a look at a graph of a quadratic function, then we can see how the graph is a curve. This is called a parabola. There are 2 points on the curve that touch the x-axis. These are our zeros. When something touches the x-axis, then our y value will always be 0. This is what's meant by the zeros when you're solving them in polynomial equations. We need to make sure one side equals 0 so that we can find when y, or when a result, is basically 0. Again, we start with the equation 3x plus 2 equals 8. But this time, we want everything on one side, so the other side is 0. We go back to our balance. One side only has an 8. We want to get rid of the 8. How do we get rid of the 8? Well, 8 minus 8 is 0. So if we can take away 8 from both sides, then our equation becomes 3x minus 6 equals 0. And in turn, we can figure out when our equation is 0 in a later video. Hopefully, this was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, you can post them in the comments. If you have suggestions for future videos, leave them in the comments. And see you next time as we explore math.